Welcome to the Foul Play YouTube channel.
Thank you, Maz. Welcome, everyone. Got a lot of ground to cover today. Looks like we've got several in the chat already going at it. We're going to be talking about several things today. First, I would like to give a big hello to everyone here that's with us on Discord. Alice and BB, Cole, Maz, Jinxie, Neverly. Hi, Neverly. You just snuck in. Linda, Dr. Silkman, and Sammy. As always, anyone's welcome to join. Jump into the voice chat on our Discord and grab the mic and talk, whatever. This is an open format. But in the meantime, last week we talked a lot about the parking light and on the RAV4, and I think that we need to carry that forward just a little bit more, and then hopefully we can't really put it to bed. We know some things, but obviously we don't know everything. So, but I put together a couple of photos that I thought were interesting to compare with, as far as how this parking lot looked. And I know Doc is aware of it, and I'm sure everybody's aware of it. That mark that was on the parking lot, which should be coming up if it's not already in the. It should pop in there any second now. There it is. This is the back, the shot of the back of the RAV, and the parking lot's underneath the back seat. Now, we didn't really talk about it much, but obviously, if you look at that parking lot, like really look at it, there's something between the clear and the amber. Can y'all hear me okay?
I can hear you.
I hear you fine.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Anyway, there's that mark that's between that we thought was, well, I think we thought it was a lot of things. I think Kathleen thought maybe it was paint, but looking at that photo, and then this is the photo later. This is taken at the crime lab, I guess, or CASO took it. But either way, that mark is gone. Whatever that smudge is gone. Thoughts?
Okay, why is it gone?
I don't know.
What happened to it?
Don't know.
Wiping off evidence, or they seem to be doing everything else. So I guess that wouldn't surprise me any.
I don't know, looking at that picture close up when you just at it, it looks like see, I don't know, it kind of looks like a reflection. Like I can kind of see it on the other side of the light too, closer to the yellow going upwards.
Somebody the other day had 3 pictures fastened together of that light, and it was like 3 different lights.
I'm not really sure.
I don't know.
Lights, or they
I don't remember who put it on the office wall, but
this one's upside down than it is in that picture. You see what I mean?
BB, that was me.
Oh, okay, there we go.
That was me. Yeah, I compared the light that Jack has put up that was at the back of the RAV. I compared it to the picture that Jack has got on the right-hand side, and I compared it to the black and white picture that was in CASO, the second volume 2 of CASO. Deirdre, there were photographs of the light, and you're 100% correct. Whatever that smudge was, it's gone. It's been removed.
Right.
When they polished it and repackaged it?
Possibly, yes. It's the same light, though, because it's got the crack near the screw in exactly the same spot. So it's most definitely the same light, but someone, I think, has cleaned it, in my opinion.
Well,
if that brings it. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, don't they realize? There was other pictures taken. You're able to compare them and say, hey, okay, what happened? Why is this way? We
found the paper. Remember, where was that paper? that said they pulled it and repackaged it when Zellner had asked for it. It coincided
yes.
with when she was asking for it.
Yes,
They
that's
pulled
right.
it and repackaged it
Yep, that's correct.
after a quick polishing.
After
Well-
correct.
Well, if I'm remembering correctly, these pictures here are dated in 2006. I didn't
Yeah.
include
Test it for
that.
buffing compound. Test
Well,
it for buffing compound. Just saying.
this is the same
But-
photo here.
What's important is to get the date of the photographs that were put in CASO 2, Volume 2. They're all black and white because Kathleen Zellner definitely requested the light, the blinker light, and I won't give it to her.
Well, if I'm remembering correctly, also
They didn't
was
want
it?
to open the evidence, right? But yet here they were opening the evidence anyway.
Evidence.
CASO.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the light.
Stacy's saying, but these photos are from before then.
Correct, they are.
And if I'm remembering correctly, that the light was also one of the things that Riddle took and to get latent prints off of.
That's correct. Yeah. I'm going to see if I could find the date of those CASO 2 photographs. That should be very interesting.
Do you think looking for the fingerprints that would have got wiped off? No.
No,
Give them the
normally,
benefit of the doubt.
yeah, normally when they're looking for fingerprints, they put like fingerprint
Dust.
dust. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I wonder, you could be right. I wonder whether they cleaned off the dust, the fingerprint
definitely-
I
dust.
would think that they weren't allowed to do that. Wouldn't that be
Yeah.
tampering with evidence, basically?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
it is.
I agree
Yes.
that is, yeah. But I'm just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, thinking, well, maybe it just kind of came off. But if it's paint or what it's suspected to be, it would have to be rubbed off, I would think. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think it
with
would just wipe off.
well,
So-
I guess how hard to if it was kind of when two objects that are painted rubbed together and there's a real transfer, then you'd have to take some kind of solution, alcohol or toluene.
Solvent or something.
Yeah.
Do you think that was the reason that had something to do with them not allowing KZ to have the light because there isn't that on there any longer?
Well, it really depends on where if the state got wind that Kathleen Zellner wanted to test the light. You know what I mean? I don't know what the sequence, but I've got the pictures of the CASO 2 report in front of me. They definitely took the light out of the bag, out of the evidence bag. They've taken a photograph of it from the front and a photograph of it from the rear. So they definitely took it out of the evidence bag, which meant that they repackaged the evidence, like you said, because they would have then had to have placed the light back into the bag. This is CASO 2 in CASO 2 report, page 20 and 21.
There you go.
Yeah, so they definitely took the light out of the bag.
And what did you say, Jinx? That they didn't want to give it to her because they didn't want to take it out of the bag? Is that what you said? Or did I hear that wrong? Or?
Their whole thing is they don't want to open anything that's been sealed, like not sealed by the court, but sealed in an evidence bag. So
Evidence tape.
they don't want to open all
Okay.
that stuff because it's
Yeah.
sealed. But then yet what do? They go into the evidence locker, open it up, unseal it, take a picture of it, send it
how
out,
is
wipe it clean, whatever the hell they did, and then
Okay,
they
that really
put it back.
boggles my mind because how are you supposed to test anything if you can't take it out of the bag?
Yes, they did. It's definitely
It's
out of the bag. I'm looking at the
oxymoron.
pictures now. Yeah, I'm looking at the pictures right now.
It is paint.
Well,
It looks like
Stacy's saying if there's lack of any evidence, prints, DNA, testable material, etc., couldn't be interpreted as evidence in itself.
Well,
Oh,
plus,
right,
I think there's a trick.
a light for not putting it in there. Whoever put it in there.
I think there's a trick they could do too, where something plastic has been touched with fingers, that they can put it in a thing and they burn
Super glue.
super glue, Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the fuming
definitely.
that's been around for, well, Doc would probably know
Yeah.
better, but at least a
Yeah,
couple
that's
decades.
right.
Long
Like,
time.
couple decades, isn't it,
Correct.
Doc?
Look,
Yes, there
the
is.
whole
There's
point of putting evidence aside and sealing it up is to preserve evidence.
To
Period.
retest.
There should
Yeah.
be no housekeeping of cleaning of items ever.
No.
Right on.
and also I can't explain why in CASO 2 they would take the light out again and photograph the front and photograph the back. It doesn't make any sense at all. But you're right, there is a fuming technique whereby they apply they put the item in a fume hood and they apply a specific chemical. And if it's got fingerprints, the fingerprints will come up. You can actually see them develop in front of your eyes.
They
So,
can
yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
they can get such a detailed thing off of it. They can actually take a photo of that. Can't
Yes,
they?
they
I mean,
can.
a lot of cases they can anyway.
Yes.
Is
Yes,
is
they
that
can.
is that used more for like if you're trying to get fingerprints off like duct tape or clothing or something that's hard to fingerprint?
Yes, it depends on the item that you want to fingerprint. That I know that they do that for things like paper, right? So they apply a gas. They put the item in a chamber. They
It's
apply
super glue.
gas.
Yeah,
They can
it's
use
super-
super glue. Yes, they can, and the fingerprint will come up.
They've done
And
it on.
I think I've seen it used on plastic before.
They've done it on people
Correct.
before too. They've done it on people before too, haven't they, Doc? I'm sure I've seen
Yes,
that.
they
in
have.
Yeah, but it's so.
Yes, they
It
have.
works so well.
Because what happens is your fingerprints have got proteins in them. They've also got lipids and fats. So depending on what type of stain they use, they normally do it for proteins in your fingers. So they use a stain that reacts with proteins, and you should see the prints. They come up. You could read them. They're clear as a bell. But my understanding is they didn't get any prints, or none of the prints could be matched to anyone.
Yeah, I don't
the
think so.
line.
So
No,
what was the date of CASO 2 where you pulled that from?
Well, on the I can see the sticker, and it's the 7th of December. So in American, it's 12/07/06. Now that's on the sticker, but I don't know what the date of when they opened it up, because it doesn't actually give any information. So
Well,
that would-
Galataki is saying Yeah.
It was in the what do you call it, the receipts, like the evidence ledgers, I believe they
Yeah,
show.
I can't read the ledger. There is a ledger. I think the photographs are in black and white for a start, and I can't read the ledger. But you would have the original photographs that are in color. They would have a ledger on them. They would have a date.
Galataki says, you see, what doesn't make sense to me is we have a damaged light, yet in the clearer picture, if it's not in the vehicle, it appears damn near new. That's true. It does.
It looks very good. Yes, it does.
I was actually
What is
talking
that?
to.
Test it.
I was talking to
Test it
Gala.
for buffing compound.
Yeah, I was talking to Gala earlier when he was over after he got off work, and he said that looked like a almost a damn brand new light.
Yes.
What's the
And,
sense of black and white? I'm kind of lost on that black and white photos.
So you can't see details, you know.
Yeah. Okay. It's just confirming what I thought.
Well,
Okay.
they like to.
Well, you're not going to notice
Ask them
colors.
for the colored copies, and then they send you a piece of paper with a colored, even worse copy in color.
Correct.
With the pictures of Teresa's car from Kelly Pitson that were in the CSO 2.0.
The black and white ones.
Yeah, I got them in color, and they're worse in color. Yeah, we're in black and white.
CASO 2's 2017.
Yeah, 2.0.
So
Yeah, because I thought we had found a piece of paper that coincided with Kathleen Sellner asking for it and them repackaging it.
They
Yes.
did. They took it out after she asked to, like, that whole CASO 2.0 started in 2017 after she had filed some motions. They started talking to Bobby. They wanted to talk to Ryan.
Yep.
They wanted to reinvestigate what she was investigating, basically.
Right.
and make
Correct.
sure everybody had their story straight.
Still, yeah. Everybody
Ken-
remembered their marks.
Ken 3334 says, did Stephen ever say what
Did Stephen ever
Avery
say
Road?
you cut all of it? What do you say, Linda?
Let me come right back. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Kent 3334 says, did Stephen ever say when Teresa turned left on Avery Road, she had her blinker on? If so, was it blinking fast? If so, let's...
No, Stephen never mentions the blinker, but he wouldn't have been able to see the blinker from that position for a start. The car
Right.
was too far away, but whoever saw the RAV4 that day, not one person commented that the light had been out. Everyone commented that the car looked like new. Is that correct,
Right.
Jack?
Yep. I don't remember anyone saying that there was any damage to that car at all.
Correct.
Well, see, if
Well,
there was
and
no-
they also somebody asked her brother Mike to go back through and look through pictures and stuff off the computers and see if he could find any with damage. Remember?
That's correct. Correct.
not only that, if she turned up at Avery Salvage Yard with her motor looking like that, Stephen would have noticed it and he would have said something to her about trying to help her to fix it.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was big
exactly.
damage. That was big damage.
You know, so that's not something. He works with motors every day, you know what I mean? I trained to be a mechanic during my school years, and that's something that you would notice being a mechanic, you know, as somebody's broken light.
It wasn't just the broken light. Remember, we talked about last week the inner fender had a hole in it. I mean, it was bucked up. Let's just be honest. It's something. I mean, it's like something hit in there and created whatever that damage was. But I think we've also talked about it. It couldn't have almost been a front end impact of too hard because the airbags would have been deployed.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah,
So-
I agree as well.
I'm
I
not
was
really
going to say not all impacts trigger off the airbags.
correct.
And that one that impact there was to the extreme. It's on the driver's side in the corner, and so it didn't obviously pop the airbags.
Well,
It's
it's the speed. It's the speed that you're going to at the time of the impact.
Correct. I mean, maybe cars back then didn't have all the sensors around to trigger off airbags.
No, I think they were just in the front and back. I think,
Primitive.
right?
Correct, they're primitive. And so if you had a front and a rear collision, sometimes even rear collisions didn't trigger off the
No.
airbag, but certainly
That's
dead
correct.
on front.
If I'm not being completely accurate, I have no proof for this, but if I'm not mistaken, the impact needed to be about 45 miles an hour to set
Yeah, I
off those
think it's
airbags.
anything under 35 or something, and it wouldn't go off.
I don't. You may be right. I don't know the figures. I mean, I know it wasn't like really fast, but I was thinking more like 20. But you guys could be correct. I really don't know. I've never researched it other than the fact, or just even think about, those sensors around the front bumper, and a lot of cars, probably at that time, maybe the more higher end cars had rear detection, and even some had side detection, like the Audis and things of that nature. The Volvos, they were really safety conscious. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't really understand what hit.
I think her motor was used to move that red motor that was blocking off the road on Avery Salvage Yard to be able to get that RAV into where they got it with.
But that doesn't fully explain the inner fender damage. Why there's a hole in it. I just don't know what could cause that without her hitting something or someone driving it, running over something, and shoving it into that inner fender and creating that hole.
Because depending on who it was though that was putting that motor back there, they weren't going to know whether that motor still had an engine or anything like that in it. So maybe they did hit it with a bit of force.
Well, and
You
maybe
know,
hit. Well, I mean, I know Kathleen suspected, wasn't it, Doc, that Kathleen suspected that the Toyota hit a stake or something in the ground. I'm sure it was.
Yeah, there is a pole. That pole is actually here's the irony, right? That pole is actually very close to the cornfield. You know, the field that runs between Stevens property and Cuss Road, which is rather bizarre because I can't explain what the RAV4 would be doing going in that particular direction.
No.
I cannot explain that at all. I can explain the RAV4 coming from the quarry, but I can't explain a RAV4 going from that orient, because they showed a picture of a pole, a metal pole, that potentially could have been hit. But the silly thing is, right, hey, give the RAV4 to car mechanics, like Alice was saying, and a car mechanic will tell you, will diagnose exactly what it hit, right? Because they've seen many accidents.
Oh, sure.
They know what the impact will be. Give the light to Kathleen Zellner. Her scientists will be able to do trace analysis on the light and determine what it hit, right? But it looks like someone, as BB said, has cleaned it up. That stain is gone.
Oh yeah, they did a nice buff job.
Graham Moss is asking, KZ has asked for the 8mm flyover film, which is supposed to be damaged. Has anyone got a comment?
I know that. I think there's actually we'll get to it, but she did ask for the unedited flyover footage, and Tom Fallon told her that she has it. Well, apparently there's another whatever file footage that's a little bit different than the one we saw, but that doesn't have that front end office stuff. I don't know that really matters, because if it's still only 11 or 12 minutes, it's pointless. You know, it doesn't really show us anything. It's the one that they talk about in these emails that's really significant, because it's not mentioned. It's not documented. It's not in any ledgers anywhere. So we'll get to that. Anyway, any more about the parking lot before I move on to this next thing?
On from the parking lot, I did look it up in the ledgers, and it was removed on 9/14/2017 to be photographed and repackaged. They also removed the lug wrench, which was on the same ledger, that September 29th, 2017. She was also asking for that lug wrench when she asked for the light. Those were the two things she asked for. So they went back and was like, let's go look at this stuff.
Yeah. T1 has a question. He said, was light tucked away by TH for future repair or hidden by suspects? Why is it under the seat and not on the floorboard or whatever?
I mean, my personal speculation, of course, I can't answer the question. I think the killer put it there.
Yeah.
That's me.
And Kent 3334 says
they put it there to when they were pushing her in, they knew they had to move it so they could put her body there, or like when was it put there, before or after her body was in the back?
Good question.
In your pit.
Probably before.
Okay.
But I don't know that. I mean, there could be blood. There could have been blood on it that we.
You just killed someone. You're not going to worry about if the light's out of the way before you.
Well, remember underneath that, these back seats on one of those crossbars or something, they did find some blood.
So let me ask this then: if that was in there before, and somebody's trying to say, as we know, that that was damaged before, she did an insurance claim, blah, 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 which didn't check out. But if that's the case and that was in there and she was tossed in there, would that not have gotten some blood on it, maybe?
You would think so. Yeah. I mean,
and Kent in the chat is saying there's a red snow fence like pole at the entry of the field that runs from Cuss Road to Steve's trailer.
Yeah, I think that may have been what Doc was talking about.
That's correct. And I can't come up with a scenario how the RAV4 will end up there, because that meant that the RAV4 would have had to gone from Stephen's property down the cornfield to Cuss Road, and that doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, yeah, because to me it would have had all kinds of brambles and brush and all kinds of horse shit underneath the undercarriage.
Correct.
You drive across the field in a car. I mean, I've, back in my younger days, back 100 years ago, I've driven in some fields, and I can tell you, you get all kinds of stuff under your car.
But the other thing, and that's a really good point that has been made. The other thing, of course, is that's where the dog tracks were as well.
Yep.
That's right. The dog tracks went across the cornfield.
That's right. Which is another really interesting point.
Is that the same cornfield that the Hillgrass group was looking like? They were searching that area, the one right in front of Avery's.
There were searches around that area, because some of the searches, remember, they were at the deer camp, Cuss Road, and one of the searchers checked the burn barrel, Stephen Avery's burn barrel. So they definitely checked that field, and the dogs hit across the cornfield, but they also hit on a berm very close to Stephen Avery's property. So either Teresa Hallbuck's scent somehow got contaminated, or her body or whatever was in that particular area. But again, I'm not an expert on the dogs.
Do we know if it was a cadaver dog or a scent dog like her?
I think it was a scent dog.
That's a key difference too. That matters.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Correct.
Yeah.
It is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, and a bunch of these friends who were over there searching could have been at her house and maybe picked up her scent somehow on them.
Well, we talked about we talked about contamination. I'm not expert enough or anything like that to say that contamination happened, but if these dogs' noses are as sensitive as what we have been told they are, I think that's a possibility without knowing for sure. That's speculatory on my part. I want to be clear about that. But
well, that might be a good question to ask that.
Jeff and Zoe the dog. Yeah, actually, it probably would be. Yeah. We need to circle back to Cuss Road part. Well, whatever the next part is, the concerns about the dogs. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at all these things that,
used for the scent dogs. Like, I know they picked up her shoes that supposedly Pagel gave them to the people with the dogs.
That's right.
So, where have we seen pictures of these shoes, or has there been any there should still be an evidence ledger with these shoes? No, where did the shoes go? Does the lady with the dogs still have them?
There may be a chain of custody, maybe in the ledgers.
They ripped the insoles out of them.
Yeah, they put it in a bag. Put them in a baggie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any pictures of that? I don't recall any pictures of the shoes or anything.
I don't think so. I don't think there's any photos.
But there was a report or something, right? That said.
It seems like it's in one of the ledgers, but I don't hold me to that.
In case
somewhere it says they.
I only remember hearing about the shoes and the dog report thingy that she was writing.
Did you?
From him and took a piece out of it.
Is it in CASO? Doc?
I don't remember it being in CASO. I remember it being in the dog report only.
I think that.
Yeah, I read it somewhere. I don't know.
It's definitely in the dog report. I have to double check CASO, but they mention about the fact that they used, Bibi's correct, they used the inner soles of her shoes and they kept it in a plastic bag to prevent contamination.
Yeah.
And then what they do is they seed the dog. They wave it underneath the dog and say, basically, go.
Yours says there's nothing of her shoes in the ledgers.
There you go.
Okay.
It's got to be the dog reports in somewhere.
So we don't even know if
I remember reading
her shoes, because where are they? I mean.
I remember reading it.
Come
Giving
on,
back
Jinx.
to
Everything that's going on in this case.
Come on,
what do we
Jinx.
do?
You know
Giving back to the
you
family.
trust Jerry. You know you trust Jerry. Come on.
Giving
I
back to
remember
the
reading
family.
it too. It wasn't a secret or anything like that, but definitely they picked up a pair of tennis shoes.
But they don't mention it in the case though. So who went?
Yeah,
and picked
yeah,
them
yeah.
up? Who picked him up? Did Ryan give him to the officers? We know the officers weren't like getting warrants to go into her house. They were just going over there and going, "Hey, I need this." And Ryan or Blodorn were like, "Here, it's right here. It's right here." You know, it's like there's
know.
I
no
thought I read
chain of
somebody
custody
who
for
did.
those either. It's ridiculous on this shit.
Anyway, I've left a picture that's. Is there any more questions about the parking lot before we move on? Because this one's just something that I noticed as I was going through I was just looking around basically in the last few days, and something I noticed that we were talking about these photos in the RAV and what was presented in court, and of course the photo I've left this photo up intentionally that Kelly sent me that's showing the natural light and then the contrast lighting that's taken directly from Culhane's PowerPoint presentation that was presented in court to show the contrast, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Okay, so I'll scroll through here.
To make the blood look more red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I apologize. I should have thrown these in a separate folder, but I didn't. It's coming.
If Pagel's got her shoes, does he sit there and sniff them? Sorry, that's bad.
Well, it's going to get over here to the stipulation.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I
okay.
always want to know where the underwear went, right?
Yeah.
So
Pagel's,
yeah.
I think Disco's saying Pagel's the one that picked up the shoes, and I do recall hearing that before too.
That is what is said in the dog report. That the woman
Right.
said that she got the shoes from Sheriff Pagel, but there's no report of Sheriff Pagel.
Right. So whoever gave that to her
Right.
should have wrote that up as some kind of
Right.
report, right?
Well, he
Correct.
should have wrote a report that he went to her house, talked to whomever was at her house, who gave her the shoes, just like they did with the underwear and the toothbrush and
At the very least, a report should have been done saying, "Hey, I handed this item over to the
If you're on duty, don't you have to call in where you're going? I mean, and you have to make a report about all your calls.
Maybe I should re-listen to some of those again. There might be something where he says he's on his way to.
Yeah, but they still make reports on that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you every call gets a report too. So
It just shows how
Not in management.
sloppy they
Yeah,
are
not in
the whole
management.
time. It's just ridiculous.
Well, I mean that was a pretty significant thing to go get the shoes. I mean, the
Oh,
little
yeah.
trivial stuff I can understand them not making a report on.
That lady, why aren't you keeping
Hey, listen.
dotting your
Well,
eyes and crossing your
Something
T's?
needed to be reported about that shoe being handed off to the dog handler for the very simple reason here. What if that dog would have found Teresa? Period.
Right.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
That's exactly right, Sammy. It needs to be backed up with all the way
That's
from the
right.
beginning. You got to be able
That's
to,
right.
present in court what you actually did. So, but anyway, well, talking about getting back to this contrast. Now, what I'm showing here is a reply from Dean Strang back to Ken Kratz in early 2007 about the stipulation project. And Adam W. was clearly talking about photographs provided he's saying we will stipulate to the authenticity of the photographs provided none have been digitally altered or otherwise altered materially. Again, we reserve the right to make relevance or 904.03 objections. And we know for a fact, well, I think so. I mean, we don't have the actual documentation or whatever, but I think we can all visually pretty much agree that photo that I just had up there showing the back of the RAV that Sherry presented was altered. There's no doubt to make that
The
blood
U,
stamp.
The U was changed in that picture.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to, I thought, everyone might find that of interest. If there's any comments there, let me look here and see what.
I mean, it's been altered. I mean, you can clearly see it's been altered. So that's tampering with the evidence.
Yeah, they changed the U.
Aye. They've made it so that blood stands out a lot more than what you can see in the original photo to make it look good for them, and it's a load of bollocks.
If it was real blood and it was in there, it wouldn't still be red.
No.
It would be not red, brown.
Browny, rusty colour, aye.
Yeah. They changed the U to make the red show, to make it look blood again.
Yeah.
Aye. So that's tampering with evidence, so it shouldn't have been accepted by anybody. It shouldn't have been accepted by the defence, and it shouldn't have been accepted by the court.
Well, that just goes to show you the lengths that they went to manipulate the jurors. And
T1 said KK enhanced photos for trial. I thought that was known already.
Well, I think it's known too, but I think that the stipulation project in itself is a real unknown. I know a lot of people have heard about it at this point, but for a long time, we didn't really know anything about it until Zellner brought it to light in one of her briefs, a couple of years ago. So when I read that, I was like, holy crap. Because, Kratz didn't want, he didn't want Veli on the stand. He didn't want Groff. He didn't want some other people to do whatever. He wanted things stipulated his way. So, I just think just one more thing that he did to get in front of the jury to manipulate. I don't think he followed the stipulation, that item W, at all, and got away with it. So, okay. Anyway, next subject is about, I'm going to let Linda take it, but this is for those that don't know about the Eagle Nation incident. This is happened in Wisconsin. I'm going to let Linda explain most of it, but basically this is concerning the Michael Funk case, and she can kind of explain what happened and then what's happened recently. So it's all yours, Linda.
Okay. Yeah, something's moving in the case. That's what I can say. Eagle Nation has decided to file a federal lawsuit against the city.
Well, first explain. A lot of people may not have heard about the Funk case.
So
briefly,
all right. Give the backstory.
Just briefly explain kind of what happened so people understand.
Okay. Let's see. Eagle Nation Cycle is in downtown Neenah, and they were having some issues with, basically the city wanted their property, and they had a drug raid, because there was somebody smoking a joint on the end or on their corner. So they said, "Oh, there's a meth lab there." So they raided the place. They found the smallest amount of marijuana, which in video that was returned later, you can see that was planted by an officer named Hoffer. So you can remember that name again. So they had a lawsuit against them for $50 million for that. And, well, no, they had things going on with the cops. There was a guy that came into the shop and held them hostage. There was a hostage situation, and the owner of co-owner of the cycle shop went to leave after the raid, or the SWAT team went in there and backed out. He was going to go shut the door. The hostage taker, Brian Flatoff, said, "Go shut the door." So he found his break. He rolled out, and gunshots were going at him as he's leaving the building. And he did have a gun, but he was looking directly at the door where he was exiting from, and turned to go to his house, which was across the alley, and he put his gun away into his pocket. By the way, it wasn't even out. And as he turned and took one step, he was shot down, executed, if you ask me, shot over 17 times.
17 shots.
Yes, absolutely no warning whatsoever. Like, "Hey, stop, please, put your gun down, hands up," anything, boo. I mean, there was absolutely nothing. And that is a big issue for Eagle Nation, especially considering that they told the people of Neenah and everybody else that they had given him a warning shot. And
that was the chief of police that came out and said that Hey, he was
Yes.
warned. Yeah.
Yes. So, long story short, the poor man was executed. Not warned, not anything, and they left him lay there in the alley for over 45 minutes. And meanwhile, while that's going on, the officer that shot him, his name's Craig Hoffer, and he was bragging. He was hit in the head from the entrance of the going in there to try to get this hostage situation in control, and he got shot in his helmet, which gave him a great big old lump on his head. And they told him, "Okay, you sit here. You're compromised. You cannot go anymore from this. You just sit here. We got it." Well, he didn't take them orders. Instead, he just went around the corner, and then, of course, he shot Michael. But as he was, the commanding officer was coming around to find out how people were, and he said, "Oh, no, look, you got shot." Hoffer goes, "Yeah, I was shot in the head." And he says, "Oh, thank God you didn't shoot anybody or kill him." And he goes, "Oh, I did shoot somebody." Well, the commanding officer looks at him, "Well, who did you shoot?" He goes, "From the guy. He's laying in the alley. He's dead." And he's laughing about it. It was just like total disrespect. Anyway, lawsuits and things went around. The city found no wrongdoing by the police, because in Wisconsin, you do not have to warn somebody before you shoot them. You're not have to do that in Wisconsin.
Really?
That's another thing I just found out. Yes, it is a law. You do not have to do that there. No, they don't need no warning. Wow, that was a shocker.
I did not know that.
Okay, it's very true. And the chief of police said that at this press release too. But so they were, the wife of Michael Funk, who is the deceased, tried to sue for wrongful death. They found nothing there. Can't do it. Dismissed that. Dismissed anything against, well, the DOJ or whoever outsourced the investigation. Found no wrongdoing on the police. So everything was dropped. Well, I mean, this is just like, it's a total execution. It's completely wrong.
When was he shot, Linda? When was he shot? Wasn't it like 2014?
December of 2015.
15, yeah.
Yeah. December 5th, 2015. And it's really wrong. I mean, if you see the video footage that's been released since the investigation and all that, you can really see a lot. It's kind of like Craig Hoffer, whatever. I just call him asshole. Sorry.
That's okay.
The murderer says to his wife, as he's calling his wife and telling his wife he was shot, but he's okay. "Hey, don't worry about me, honey. It was like killing a deer." Excuse me? You think of human beings as game? I mean, that just is appalling to me. Laughing and carrying on. Anyway, long story short, it didn't get nowhere, and Michael lost his life, and people, in that community really depended on that shop for a lot of things. They supported the kids' youth clubs, and they had dinners for them every Saturday, and they were just a real great community driven business. And so since the hostages were treated like criminals, they were put in back of cop cars for hours at a time before able to be released. And they just seen this man being killed.
They interrogated him too, didn't they? They treated him as an interrogation.
Oh my gosh, terrible. You imagine just seeing, being in a hostage situation anyway has got to be, I can't even imagine.
Traumatizing.
Yes. And then to see your best friend, your business partner, your husband, your father get killed, executed, and then you're treated like a criminal. You are treated like you're the one that did something wrong. You're put in handcuffs. You're, questioned up and down, and not nicely, I'm sure. I wasn't there, but I can understand it wasn't very nicely. And some of these people are extremely affected by this to this day. I know one of the hostages debilitates him through everyday life. And So they got themselves an investigator, and they got themselves a lawyer, and they have a federal lawsuit against the city, claiming that the officers treated the hostages, or well, rather victims, because they were a victim too, like criminals, and held them for hours and whatnot, whatever. But Monday morning, tomorrow, they will be filing, and I'll find out more about it then. So that's the long and the just, long and the short of it, I guess.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah.
And I know you went to Nina last week, and I watched that press conference that you did live. It was really interesting. And I mean, anybody. I mean, I don't know how many. A lot of people, I'm sure, here have heard about the case. A lot of people followed Eric Hosey, and we all really appreciated him and we miss him, his input. He was getting, he was pretty far into. Yeah, he was very far into the case, and that's really kind of where I learned about it. I think the first time I didn't really know too much about it. I think I maybe had heard about it, but I didn't really have any details. And he did a video, and he kind of explained it, kind of like what you just did. But I wanted to get this on the open mic so that more people would bring awareness to this, to people that are interested, to watch out for your upcoming information and on your channel and stuff, so that if they want to follow you, they could be more involved. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, you can get on the Eagle Nation cycle train, rolling through there. But it's Eric Hosey used to get so fired up and passionate about this case, and I started at the same time he did. So I just, I felt not only, that it's the right thing to do, but it's kind of like, finishing up something for him a little bit too. I mean, granted, I'm far from an Eric Hosey, but you know what I mean? But right. I do have a lot of passion for this these group of people, and their loss is tragic. And he was just executed. And if you really want to see if you want to see the whole thing,
I was just gonna say that, Linda.
Go to Eric Hosey's channel and watch it. I do have it on mine too, but he's got a little more extensive one. He does show the raid where they found the drugs and supposed drugs that cop, and you can see him doing it, put the drugs into that bag. You can see him do it. So you actually get to see the cop do it.
And you can also see the guy bragging about
bragging. Yes, never exactly.
And you can see the lifeless body laying there,
and
the shots are still going.
45 minutes that man laid without anybody coming to. How do they know they might not have hit a vital organ, and he could be breathing?
That's right. He could have survived. They don't until they check.
And nobody will even know that because
that's an execution.
Yes,
they didn't render aid. They didn't render aid. I mean that's really. I don't know.
It's a blatant disregard for human life. Period.
How do they find no wrongdoing?
As a cop, even if you shoot someone, they should be calling for an ambulance.
And rendering aid if they can.
Their policies might be different because remember, they don't have to warn you before they shoot you.
That's true.
And I've never heard that. So maybe they don't have to render aid. They might not have to render aid. I don't know.
That's crazy. All right.
But yeah, so jump on, guys, and let them know you care about what's going on in Wisconsin. Another dirty
terrible
thing in Wisconsin.
I mean, that's right down the road from Manitowoc and Calumet. Come on, is that like in every fucking region there? Come on, pardon my French, but Jesus Christ.
Sandy Greenman was standing outside when all that was going on. I just found that out too. So because she lives very close to that, so she's seen the whole thing unfold too. So. It's just amazing to me how they can get away with it and then laugh about it. And, if you don't find no wrongdoing because your laws are you don't have to warn somebody and he had a gun and you felt, there's circumstances that they knew who that person was, especially Huffer. But I can understand it, but where's your humanity about
That's right.
somebody lying there dead, and you're going around laughing about it and telling your wife it's like killing a deer, and joking and I killed somebody, and
there's a bigger issue too that you look at it and say, well, you know what, the city of Neenah or whatever that department, if the local government gets a hard on for you and they want your property, you better watch out because you might end up on the slab.
That's so true. Or if you have a suit against them,
yeah.
I mean, that's what we're learning here, right? Exactly. It
seems like if you file a lawsuit in the state of Wisconsin, you better watch out because it has to do with the government.
What a small world this is. That Sandy Greenman, who is very heavily involved in Stephen and Brenda's case, she actually witnessed all of that.
Well, these people that are in Eagle Nation, some of them go to church with some of them judges and things like Katrin, meow meow. My friend goes to church with him, so they see these people too. So, and they know what's going on, and it's just amazing they can walk around with their heads held high, feeling like there is nothing. You know what I mean? Nothing done wrong, nothing at all.
That's crazy.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, it's only like the next state over for Avery and stuff like that. So are you trying to tell me that the cops in Wisconsin are corrupt? That the cops there aren't just as corrupt? Of course they are, because they all mingle together. The law have their police get-togethers and everything like that. You know what I mean? The dance, the police dance of the year and stuff like that, and the law mix and the law mingle. So it'll be in every state, in Wisconsin probably. You've got that type of environment. I don't believe for a minute that it's just in one state that there's that amount of corruption. It's deja vu all over again.
It's the blue integrity, keep your mouth shut law there.
Thin blue line.
Thin blue line, yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you.
Wisconsin. Come on vacation, leave on probation.
Right. When I went through, I had bail money. Believe you that?
Yeah, you cannot. If you come from any other state and you're driving here in Wisconsin, and you get stopped for a traffic violation, you have to pay them
before you leave.
Spot.
Yep.
Or they won't let you
jail.
leave.
That's right. Exactly it. And
they have no reciprocity with other states.
Yep.
If I get a ticket, I pay it whenever,
Right. It's a pay or stay
payment
state.
Plans and everything, but
pay or stay. So make sure if you're visiting Wisconsin,
or come for the rallies, or anything else from out of state, and especially if you're driving a car with out of state tags.
Yep, first one to be pulled over.
Don't make any mistakes, or have some extra money with you.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Again, me poking around looking at. Thank you, Linda. By the way, I appreciate you taking the time to explain to everyone.
Thank you, Jess.
Everyone, again, tune into Linda's upcoming news. She'll get it out there as quickly as she can, and so stay after it. Anyway, I was once again looking around for some. I was actually looking for some information. I just happened to know I was digging for something specific, and I was looking through some of Casey's old filings, and this is an amended supplement to the previously filed motion. You can see it up there at the top for reconsideration. I ran across this DCI report, and this is report number 62. I thought, hey, I wonder if we got that one as part of the new stuff. But anyway, I just kind of flowed down through it, and it said page 1 of 18. I thought, well, okay, let me just check that out. That's interesting. Report number 62. So let's see if we can pull this other one up here. Yeah, here we go. I can't put these side by side. I apologize. See if that'll pop in there. For some reason that hasn't popped in there yet. I don't know why. Come on. Don't be that way.
It'll be very interesting to have some more information as we wait on the state and everyone else.
There it is. Yeah, anyway, that's at page 1 of 18 in Zellner's report. And then if you, it'll come up here in a second for you guys. Anyway, I pulled up report 62 that we have. And number one, it doesn't have a header. There it is. It doesn't have a header. And as you can see, it says 1 of 13. So even if let's just say that there's 2 pages of header, there's still 3 pages missing. And that prompted me to poke around some more. I found some, say you start looking for one thing and you get drug off into these other rabbit holes. And I should have just dropped it right on the spot. And I don't have other ones to pull out. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to torture you that way. But there are other reports that are basically like this. There'll be X amount of pages shown in one of Zellner's briefs, but when you go to the actual report that Rookie and yours got, the pages don't add up. And I understand sometimes that they didn't get the header because I did ask. I specifically sent Rookie a message, and that's what they got. What we see is what they didn't cut anything off. So I just found that I shouldn't be surprised, right? It is interesting. Missing pages. I always get.
Sorry.
Well, it always makes my radar. It makes my radar, hackle off. Be fucking transparent. Just be fucking.
Pisses me off.
Just be transparent. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, how do they expect anybody to think that they're not crooked, that they're not doing something nefarious? This is the kind of things that we can continually run against.
Well, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I know how I feel about it. It hackles me.
Well, let me tell you this. They weren't counting on anyone ever really looking at any of this ever again.
No, they weren't. They were off. They've probably gotten away with, how many other cases have kind of went this way that didn't get any popularity, that there's just all kinds of weird shit going on, and no one questioned it.
They're just throwing shit at it. They don't care about the details or how accurate anything is and whether dates are accurate or not and page counts. Really? I mean, it's not something they ever guessed anyone was ever going to give any attention to it. It was a done deal.
Conviction.
It was a done deal for them. Yeah.
You're right, Sam. They got their conviction. So why? Then nobody going to go in there again. The appeals they won't have one. It's weird.
You could be sure if they did this, that Steve Avery was not the first person they've done this to.
No.
Oh, I know.
They knew they could get away with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they knew they could get away with this.
Well, it's like that argument I told you guys I got into with the Gilter on Segvia last week. This has been a days-long argument about the video that Kratz released. And I don't care how much you try to justify it, because he tried to justify it in every conceivable way. It was like, well, I mean, there's no. Hey, look, if John Byron hadn't given sworn testimony that there were no recording devices in those recording privacy rooms, I probably would have less of a leg to stand on. But he was the jail administrator, so either he didn't know, which is troublesome enough, or he fucking lied. He perjured himself.
Yeah, he was asked a lot of questions specifically about people being able to listen, and if there's no cameras, we don't do that.
Well, and that was exactly my point. Another point to that end of it is that what's the point of having a privacy room to not record people when you've got the actual the normal visiting is through a glass and through the phone. So what's the point of having a privacy room? It's for privacy. It's for privacy.
Right on.
You don't and
exactly.
He also tried to say, well, it was for monitoring. monitoring and recording are not the same thing. I'm sorry, it's
That's right.
not.
Monitoring would be going by looking in that glass window.
It's a security camera.
That's what he said, isn't it? Didn't he say in his on his testimony that they have a glass window, they can see what's going on, they don't need to listen to what's going on in a
And anyone that has followed along in the pretrial, when Emily Matasic did her interview, and when what's the other lady's name? Is it Angela? No,
Anjanette.
Anjanette. Thank you,
Anjanette?
Anjanette Levy. When they did their interviews, and there was another one actually. There's a third one. When they did their interviews in the privacy room, what did they do? They stationed officers outside of the privacy room.
right.
So if anything was going to happen, they
should have a video of those two people being interviewed too, interviewing Avery. Like if they actually have cameras in that room, then where are those tapes then?
Well, we have to write a. We got to do what?
They should have been
Gotta do what them guys are doing.
too. The two interviewers or whatever. Those
Well,
two ladies.
another thing comes to mind. Who would know to write a? Kratz says he got it by FOIA, but who would know to write a FOIA about something that's not supposed to be there? It's not recorded any. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. No one else. This is not documented anywhere. I mean, I don't know everything about the case, but I have not seen anything that says in contrary. Actually, I've seen the contrary. No video, no recording equipment in those rooms. Because not only do lawyers come by, you have clergy, a priest or a preacher, or you also have counselors for AA and drug counselors. You have other police cops come by to interview these people. There's all kinds of people that go to those privacy rooms.
Isn't it your right to have privacy with your lawyer?
Yes.
Nobody else can see it. I mean, that's your right, isn't it? Or wait a minute. I do want to say, is that a law in Wisconsin they don't abide by?
Well, I did look into it a little bit about attorney-client privilege. There are, not everything is covered by attorney-client privilege, but anything that's case-related is covered by attorney-client privilege, period. Okay. There's no getting around that. Now, if they went in there and they were talking about some other case that was unrelated, a judge would probably allow it. However, having a recording device in there to begin with is problematic for me.
I think that's a big problem. It is for me too, because especially with the testimony that they really grilled him. People standing outside, can they hear under the door, at the big window? You know what I mean? It was, they made a big deal to say, no, we do not have that. There is no way, no cameras, no recording devices whatsoever. They made a point of that.
Right. So anyway, I'm going to move on now and to the next subject and that's the emails that Rookie has got his hands on from the case, and they're pretty explosive. I know that there's already a lot of information. There's some information out there. I don't think everything's out there yet, and I'm not sure that everything is. I'm pretty sure that everything's not been posted yet in Twitter or on Reddit. There are several things, but I'm going to go through some of them, and I'm not going to open every single one of them. If you want to see them, you need to go to Twitter and look up Rookie 1082, or you can go to Reddit and go to TikTok, and a Redditor named I beat you at your own game. I beat you at your own game. He's posting these pretty quickly. As soon as they get shared on Twitter, they're getting put up there. So this first one, Colburn was looking for a lawyer early January, and to sue Netflix, and he's made all kinds of statements. They're, poor old guy. He just kind of yeah. Well, he feels like he's finally. He feels like he's being cornered. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it. He wrote. Actually, I'm going to open this one. I don't know if I can see it or not. It's pretty tiny. He's looking around. In this one email, he says he hasn't watched it, and he's not going to watch it, and he canceled his account and or his Netflix account.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I bet they were devastated.
I'm sure. I'm sure they were.
They just thought, oh my gosh, we might as well close our business down. We don't have accounts.
So it's interesting. There's some other ones he wrote too. Let's go back here and look at another one. I think I don't know if let's see. This one says Andy Coburn shoots his own case in the foot. The claim by Netflix, he's got underlined here, the claim by the Netflix documentary mirror those claimed by the defense during the trial. You can go a lot of different directions with that.
Then shouldn't he be suing the defense?
Well,
oh my god.
Yeah, these are pretty explosive. Let's see here. This next one, if I found out that Judge S took 2 years to deny Stevens Avery's 41-page pro se motion, but 3+ months to deny Kathleen Zellner's 221-page motion, I would be a bit stunned too. And this is an email that Fallon wrote. This was after Judge Flowers denied the PCR that Kathleen did. So, he goes on and says he's stunned. And he said, I must read this. And after, as far as I'm concerned, this does not mean that we're done. Just have to amend strategies. Regards, Tom.
There's the kicker.
Okay, yeah, that might need further conversation. Thoughts, comments? Jump in, people.
Let's talk about sabbatical, Tom. Not so sabbatical, is he? Yeah. That's what TTM says.
I think the last that we heard was that Fallon is off the case, but he was in Dane County as some kind of prosecutor.
Well, see, now I heard different. I heard that Fallon is retired.
I heard that too.
Still on the case.
I heard that too, that he's retired.
Yeah.
On reserve.
Oh, Lord.
Well, I haven't heard reserve. I just heard he's retired and he's done, but I don't know. I don't know for a fact. So that's pretty shocking. What strategy would they have to amend?
Yeah.
They had to go
I understand.
Facebook dial.
I do understand that prosecution going to have a strategy when that makes sense. That's what they do. Okay, but stunned. He's stunned. He might. What is he saying? Stunned that he thought that they were going to grant it for her, and now that they didn't, he's going to go back and change something.
Well, I mean,
I don't
He's
understand
done because he doesn't know who came up with the money to pay her.
I mean, it leads off into a lot of different directions.
MSD says Fallon is still listed as active.
Yeah. What do you think about it, Jax? What is your thoughts on the stunned and strategy? Because to me, them are the stick out in that. You know what I mean?
Well, number one, and I'm probably wrong, and this is pure speculation, and I'm probably a little jaded from all the crap that we know that happened, but number one, I've just kind of always felt like that these higher end people in the AAG's office would know prior to a decision being made public that the word would be given, and they would know. Mm-hmm. So I guess that part of it right there. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're not.
No, I would think so.
Maybe they're not. I don't know.
They might find out same time.
It would stand to reason that could be the case.
Well, along with that, Sammy, it's funny. If he's stunned, that means to me that he's read her PCR. Now, don't forget that the PCR itself is 221 pages, but there are a bunch of exhibits along with it, and I mean a lot. So that actually is quite a bit bigger filing than just 221 pages. There's just all kinds of exhibits, and you can find those on StephenAveryCase.org. But anyway, this changing of strategy. So let's just say, I mean, to me that says, oh, well, he thought that there was enough merit in her PCR that it was going to be approved, and the case was going to go to an evidentiary hearing, or something was going to happen. So,
or do you think like Ken 3334 says he thought it was sarcasm when he said
no?
Quite possible.
Okay.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't see that. Not from Fallon. No.
Yeah,
not
I was just going to say not Fallon. He's too close to the law.
I mean, not in that. I mean, if it was a different context, yeah, maybe I can maybe see it. But in this email, no, I'm just not seeing it. So, changing of strategy, moving forward, that tells me if what he's saying is, if he's being sincere, that tells me that he thought that there was potential or a great possibility that Judge Flowers was going to approve it for some kind of hearing moving forward with the case and not just denying it. And they were already talking about her approving it and what they were going to do, because he says change strategy. Look at our strategy, whatever. So
what they had planned, yeah, I get it.
So I don't know. That's just a thought. I'm not saying that I'm right, but I thought that was very interesting. Remaker, let's see, Colburn's desperate email to his boss. This is an interesting one. I'm not going to open that second one because it's an image of Colburn, but this first one is pretty long and it's really interesting too. I recommend everyone read this one, and I'm not going to read the entire thing because it's pretty long. But basically, this was written. Basically, didn't Making Murder hit on 12/18/2015?
Yeah.
12/12/17.
Yeah, it was the 18th of
December.
2015.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. So he wrote this email, and he's basically telling the sheriff. I guess the sheriff. Who was sheriff at this time? Was it?
It was Herman, I believe.
So he's telling. Yeah, that's right. He was the sheriff then, wasn't he?
Yep.
So he's telling Herman. He's apologizing for how MTSO and Andy himself is going to appear in the documentary as looking really bad.
Even though they haven't watched it yet.
Well,
and, won't watch it, and they know
it's not even out.
They already know they're going to look bad. That's
what that's what I'm saying. This looks really terrible for him, because this was wrote at 12 o'clock. This was written at noon, basically on the day of the 18th. So, what did he know?
Well, by that time, they had people had 12 hours to already sit and binge watch all 10 episodes.
Well, I figured it hit at 3. I figured it hit at 3 a.m. I don't know. You're probably right. But
he said he read transcripts from it, or the transcript of it.
That's when his phone started ringing off the hook.
Out, I'm sure, they told them, I'm sure it wasn't just it released on Netflix. I'm sure they said, look, we're releasing this. Do you have any comments? They might have even asked them for comments before they actually released it.
It's possible, but basically he goes into some pretty good detail and apologizing over and over, talking about.
He's gonna look bad.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, and well, we've all said we wish they hadn't done anything to the testimony. I think that was a bad move for Netflix.
But how can you have a show that's that was 6 weeks long? I mean, 12 hours a day.
You make more episodes. You make more episodes.
You'd have a series for a year.
Well, I mean, they could have easily added another.
Say that's okay now, but that's not how Netflix.
I mean, I know they did
admitting
it for. I know they did it for dramatic effect. Everybody gets, the creative leap there, and I get that. And but again,
And
I
it is
think
their right.
it is their right. I just wish trial testimony would have been left alone. But regardless, it didn't affect anything legally at all.
Explain, Jax, what they did, because a lot of people. I mean, I just heard.
Well, they moved around. They delayed an answer. I think in one section, somebody else would probably know better than me. It just
cracks.
Well, I mean, when Coburn
he punches his hand and wipes it around like he wants to punch Jerry or Dean or whoever, whenever he was asking him the question, no, I did not plant the bullet. So like, yeah, right, or whatever.
Yeah, it was about his integrity. Yeah,
this weird hand gesture. I'm like, sure.
Yeah, I mean, you can easily look at the trial testimony versus the Netflix episode itself. They jockeyed around a couple of little things and put a delay in one of his answers. I think there was a little dramatic music, and it was to me it affected. It didn't matter to me at all. I didn't. Right. I wish they hadn't done it, but it didn't change anything.
It didn't matter at all, because the whole point is the Manitowoc Police Department or Sheriff's Department should never have been on that property at all.
No,
because that was a big conflict of interest.
Huge conflict of interest. So.
That was the point
and it couldn't have been more obvious what was going down.
So I mean, I think they should have never been there. That was a bad move. Here's another interesting one, and people can make of it whatever they will, but this is an NDA that was sent to Colburn. I'm guessing here, this is a going back to convicting a murderer when it first began. And I guess when Sean Reck decided to make it, and the NDA that Ken Kratz had to sign. I mean that Andrew had to sign, and why Ken's name is on here. That I don't really know, but this
manager.
Well, I think we all kind of felt that at one time, that Ken felt like this was his project, and he was kind of the boss, the prize.
Yeah,
you're subservient to me, and this NDA, you can find it. The full thing is you can find it on Twitter, where you can read. It's actually quite long. It's quite lengthy. It's just got number one here, but it goes up for a couple pages at least, and it's quite lengthy. So this is interesting. So I don't know. I can't answer the full question as to why. I mean, I can see, if he's going to be, if Colburn's going to be a part of convicting, but why Kratz's name is on here at the same time, I can't explain that. I'm not legally savvy enough to say. So
maybe just out of the blue, maybe Andy needed some lead. And about signing this, you know what I mean? So, so he didn't get messed up. Netflix supposedly did him, I don't know.
Maybe it was Kratz who was like, yeah, you should come and do this show. It's going to be like the opposite of ma'am, the police's side of the story, the cop side of the story.
But I've never seen an NDA.
But you have to put an NDA so nobody knows what you said. Maybe they were worried about what he would all say.
I don't know.
That's kind of what I mean. That maybe Kratz was, gonna be the one to tell him this or, don't say this or whatever.
Was he part of the convicting? Wasn't he? Like maybe it was his project.
Well, I think he got pulled into it. I don't know who came up with the project ultimately, but I would venture to say that it was, Sean Reck with that lawyer from Chicago that's subpoenaed a bunch of police officers. I can't remember his name, but I think that maybe that was the brainchild of them, and I don't know what Kratz's involvement was, if at all, until after that idea was. They came up with this idea to make this counter move to making a murderer. I don't know. So
I want to look at that again, because I wonder if there's some connection there. Like maybe he knows Kratz maybe they know each other from like school or something.
Yeah, isn't his name Andy Hale? Isn't that right? Or
yeah, something like Hale, something.
Yep.
Andrew Hale. That sounds right. A Hale name is familiar.
Yeah, I think that's his name. That lawyer.
Guy named Sean Hale, and I probably associated it with that.
So,
but yeah, let's look.
Well, it is interesting why there would be two people, especially on an NDA that was meant for Andy, or even vice versa, whatever. I've never
maybe
heard of that.
Too, and they just were like putting it out there.
Trying to save paper? What?
Well, that's
MSD
the other thing.
says there was also a previous version prior to Netflix that was part of a film festival. Interesting. I wonder if that's available somewhere.
Well, we know that we know that Kratz was part of CrimeCon.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I doubt that there's any connection there. I don't know. I really don't know. Anyway, this next one was Fallon surprised by Judge Suckowitz's November 2017 decision. It sure made Mark Wiegert giddy. So this email was sent out, and I'm guessing that I'm pretty sure this came from Wiegert's wife. For your reading pleasure. No, I'm sorry. I said Wiegert's wife. Wiegert's wife. I'm thinking of something else. From it was from Fallon. Yeah, it was from Fallon for your reading pleasure, and it says the latest decision from Judge Suckowitz. So anyway, there's another one. Let's see here. Moving on. Is this the one I'm really looking for? Here's one from, let's see. This reads up or not, but we'll just read it as we go here. After speaking with Jeremy, I know what this is. This is part of one of Zellner's briefs. If you guys remember, KZ had said that it appeared that Wiegert had allegedly forged Jeremy Hawkins' signature. You guys remember that? I know Jinx does.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah. So they were wanting to make sure that Jeremy Hawkins they were having a meeting, and they wanted to make sure that Hawkins was on board. And so that's what this email is about, which is really kind of strange to me why they would have to get all the, kind of hammer some nails down.
What?
Well, it's just, I don't know. Here's another really good one from Fallon. This is really a big whopper to me. This is from Fallon to Wiegert and some other people. And he starts out, looks like the DOJ dropped the ball. This was filed yesterday electronically and in paper form. Paper copies were mailed to Zellner. She will likely receive her copy today or tomorrow. Her 15 days to respond begin the day after the receipt. We anticipate an extension request, probably 30 days. Then it's in the hands of the court. The brief is long, around 116 pages, but answers all questions. For the short version, just read the 15 pages of the introduction and argument set up. See you next month sometime. Please pass on to Dettering. Dettering's still involved. He finally does retire, though, guys. I'm informed mandatory DA got a copy.
No. He was retired, and they brought him out of retirement.
He retired again. He retired again. He retired again. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if this needs.
I'm done with this case. I don't want my name on it anymore.
I don't blame him. Come down, buddy.
I don't know if the media picked up on it, but I suspect they have. Regards, Tom. So that's interesting. Yeah. DCI dropped the ball. Well, ball dropping.
Yeah. How did they drop the ball?
I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
Is that why CSO decided to release all the DCI records because they're mad that they dropped the ball?
No. And this one's about Kratz making a movie or whatever.
Kratz making a movie?
Yeah, it says I received.
Well, his movie put on YouTube.
No, I think this is about convicting. This is Mark Wiegert too, and this is Mark writing someone. I have received 2 requests from the producers of a second season of the show. Also, I also have not and will not comment. All I know is that Ken is busy writing his book, and supposedly Ken and Tom are doing something with their own movie. $, sad. From Norm Gone. Yep.
Convicting start. When did they start talking about that? Do we know? I don't remember when that started.
Convicting. It's been a few years.
17.
Yep.
17.
Well, this is dated 2016, so.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, and then, well, we know that. I don't remember the precise date of when the first iteration of Kratz's book was released, but I'm pretty sure it was 2017. So.
He could have saved us a lot of problems, or not. Right, it is.
You were right. I did enjoy it for the interviews about the second round of Netflix. I've had about 5 or 6 calls with the latest. This is I think this is coming from Fallon. Then let's see if there's anything else.
Do we know if Ken is commenting?
I don't think. I don't think we have anything like that that's specifically from him. They may be talking to him on the side. I suspect they. Actually, I know in some instances they were, because there's some emails between Ken and Fallon. Ken and Fassbender wanted seats to the on bank, and so.
Yeah.
This is the one. See, I think this is one of the last 2 that I really wanted to talk about. This one is really interesting, and actually the author, Like Them Apples, he really picks this one apart pretty good. And I'm not going to go through all of it, but this is a July. Let's see, mail from July 1st, 2019, from Gone to Fallon and Williams, and it's actually pretty interesting. Gone is basically asking for all of this evidence that he wants to relook at. He also wants to drive the route that Bobby drove. He's asking to look at specific geotagged locations, as you can see listed there. It's really interesting. He also would like to see tags 8697 and so forth. And this actual topic goes into some pretty good detail describing each one of these evidence tags. I recommend everyone read it and see the OP's logic behind it. Because it's interesting, because I can tell you that one part of it that I did read, it talks about some of these burned cremains being found at a certain location over in the quarry, and it's got a photo, but nothing's burned. There's no burn area. There's no burn anything there. So it's interesting that they would find these burned bones in basically a grassy, rocky, or whatever it was. I'll pull it up here in a second. This rocky place. Anyway, Gone goes on. He goes on some length here about this. So to me, it raises all kinds of questions. If he's so satisfied with the case, Yeah.
He acts like he don't know about this stuff.
Well, I mean, what the hell?
Wasn't he there when they gave the bones back to the family?
Yeah.
Yes.
Back to give to the,
Yes.
We don't know if they ever got them, but never signed for them or anything. But yeah.
Yeah,
so
he was.
Why are you asking now to
Yeah, he asked about some of these buckets.
There.
he's asking to examine some of these buckets that they found.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't really understand that, because there wouldn't be anything left in them. Surely, I mean,
Oh, it's just that just blows my mind. Like he don't know the case. He's looking at this. I didn't know this. You know, it's
Disco
like,
is asking, why are they talking to KK in 2016? He's disgraced then because of the sexting.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good
Because
question.
of knowledge of the case.
Because he's a fat, greedy bastard and he needed to have his fingers in all the fucking pies.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
I'd like
right.
to know if there's a way to find out if the Department of Justice has been like paying him as like like not a lawyer but like a consultant of some
Consultant, yeah.
He was been on the case ever since the beginning.
Well,
right?
nobody knows it like him, right? Nobody knows this case like he does.
He's the one who's like the head
Oh,
of.
come on. We know how it goes.
Do it. If he's going to be the one that takes the fall, so of course they're going to keep him informed, right?
Yeah.
And he invented half the shit, so.
Yeah, they got to tap into that sick mind of his to find out
Well,
what's going on.
if you guys remember, Kratz contacted the DOJ in I believe it was early 2016, mid 2016. I can't remember the date. But
he on the mock thing for the embankment hearing or whatever, didn't he?
Well,
if they were going to do a mock trial or mock hearing.
Yeah, that was that was a little bit later. But he contacted the DOJ, and he basically demanded access to all of his old case files, and he also wanted access to that Avery computer that they gave him to do the case with, which was also confiscated and locked up by the DOJ. And from all intents and purposes, as far as we know, he didn't get access. But
well, I would hope not.
Well, I mean
maybe his personal notes, yes, but anything that would have been used.
Point. He's a citizen. He's got a FOIA that stuff just like everyone else.
Well, I mean, for prosecutors do have some leeway, but he left under the a dark cloud. So, well, right. So I just can't see them giving him access. I'm not saying they didn't, but he went so far as to say
he probably has thumb drives in his desk at home.
Oh,
all kinds of stuff on it.
Leah's purse.
He's got a few blackmail thumbnails because if they're going to shove him under the bus like he thinks that they might do, he's going to have a shitload of files and everything like that to turn around and say, are you really sure you want to do that? Because I've got all this information.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people think that's why he released that jail video because no one really knew about it. I mean, I've been on looking at this.
I agree with Kent. Kent says that KK has probably kept many security pieces just in case it goes south and they try to roll him under the bus. I agree. Well, absolutely. Someone like him, someone like that does not roll in any direction without some insurance. Come on.
Well, that was another thing, when he made this request of to get access to his old files, he went so far as to say that he would bring someone, he would bring a printer, he would bring a means to copy what was on that computer and other media, whatever they had stored in that case file. So,
I'm willing to bet you that dude's got shit we would never dream of.
Oh yeah, I'm with you.
Oh yeah, he's an asshole.
The files in that he's saved, he's encrypted the files so only he can open it, no matter whether the DOJ's got the computer or no. So with him asking for the access to that shows that he can get to the files, get it off, get a copy, get them on thumb drives, and then that way he's got the blackmail and that there already.
Dirty is as dirty does.
Exactly.
My opinion on that, Alice, is that when he walked out the door, he already had a pocket full.
Oh yeah.
I guaranteed. And as you say, that wee picture, because that came out after the bones scenario, didn't it? Finding out that the bones and all that got back. That was him basically saying to them, you want to fucking shove me under the bus? Just remember I've got this. And he put that photo out because, as you say, the officer that was on the stand under oath He said that there was no cameras in that room whatsoever. That clearly shows he was fucking lying, because that's a camera behind and above. So that was a wee spy camera that nobody could see, like a wee nanny cam that hides in the eye of a teddy bear or something like that. You know, and that's what they've done. They've put that in there. Every time Stephen, I guarantee you, every time Stephen was meeting with his lawyers, even though it's supposed to be prior confidentiality, that went out the window, because they were tapping his calls, and I guarantee you they were doing them in real time, sitting listening to them while he was on the phone.
I believe that.
I mean, it's actually much worse than that if you think about it. I think there's 4 privacy rooms at the CASO jail. I think that's right. You think about this: if they were all, had were monitored or recorded, whatever, it wasn't just the Avery case; it's every case.
Right.
That they wanted to, if it was somebody they didn't really care about, they may not even bothered to record it. But it was something that they were following.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Oh,
what do you think Kent wants to know, what do you think he did with the pages he had copied from Teresa's personal journal?
Yeah.
Well, again,
put him under a pillow at night.
Can I just make a couple of comments?
Sure.
I think this is actually a very, very serious issue. And
just
by looking at those emails, you can see that there was a lot of nervousness amongst the attorneys, the prosecuting attorneys, because, one, Ken Kratz has got an axe to grind, right? Because the way he was treated with his sexting scandal, right? The way he got treated in terms of the loss of his law license, the bad publicity, the negativity that he got, he basically got ruined. So he's got an axe to grind. That's one. Two, he wrote a book, and he also wrote an amended book, right? He added additional chapters. If you notice, when Ken wrote the book, he didn't include Garn or Fallon. So to me, Ken Kratz is the ultimate loose cannon, right? If they're going to not treat him right, Ken Kratz could literally throw everyone under the bus. All you got to do is slip an email to the press.
Spot on.
And that's it. And,
or to
all
Zellner.
hell is break loose. Or to Zellner. So in other words, just in other words, he's a turncoat. He goes, all right, you threw me under the bus. You watch this whole shit show go down. So that's why I reckon there's a lot of nervous exchanges going on, because Ken holds the balance of power, so to speak, right? And imagine if now the focus goes on to the other prosecutors like Garn, Fallon, the whole Wisconsin crime lab, the damage and the fallout could be immense, because no one stood up for Ken Kratz, right? With the sexting scandal, everyone ran a mile, right? And now you can see the nervousness, especially in someone like Fallon, right? So
that's not true. Nobody ran until a year later.
Yeah, but look what they did,
swept it
right?
under the rug for a whole year.
Yeah, but that's correct. But look what they did in terms of the evidence, right? They secreted the bones to the Hallbark family. They took a major draw card for Kathleen Zellner. They took it away, so you can't re-examine that evidence. I bet you the RAV's gone, the light's probably gone, and so what's happening is that you are that they don't want Kathleen Zellner to reopen anything. And so what has been the strategy? The strategy has been do nothing.
And get rid of what you got.
Yes, stonewall Kathleen Zellner. That's what the strategy is.
I agree. I mean, they've given away, during this stall time, they've given away God.
That's why they're going to do, like you said, Dr. So trial 4. It's gonna be another. Yes, it's gonna be another Sean Ellis all the way.
So yes,
Yeah.
so it'll reach a point whereby they're going to count their losses and go, okay, Stephen Avery's been in jail for how many years? Okay. Brendan Dassey's been in jail for how many years? Okay. Let's hold a press conference before she causes a shitstorm and say we're going to release the boys because of XYZ factors. We still believe they're guilty. Yes, they're going to be released, probably under a certain number of conditions, and hence they save face because they know that if Kathleen Zellner is able to show that shenanigans took place, oh boy, this is going to be civil suit number 2, and I don't think anyone wants that.
No,
That's just
no, they don't
my
want it.
opinion.
The fallbacks don't get justice for their daughter, and they'll never know what happened to her. Really,
That's true.
Correct.
I do
correct.
have a
and they're so
question.
like, oh, we're doing this for the Howbacks. What about the Howbacks? And it's like, well, what about them? They don't really care about them either if that's what they do.
They hide under the skirt all the time.
What's your question, Sammy?
I'm just curious what people are thinking about how Ken has positioned himself now. I feel like in my bones he's not done yet. And he's positioning himself in such a way that if anybody really take a good look at this, it's almost like he's preparing for something.
Well, he did disappear. After the video got dropped, he did disappear, and I'm sure he's still around.
Done.
Oh, I don't think he is either. I'm sure he's still around under some, sock account that he keeps track of everything. Well,
stalker.
I don't know.
Well, no, you know something? I think he's more aware of his position in all of this, where this may go. I think that he has more knowledge, for what's going to go down or what has been going down. And I think he's done such a drastic move that it is really speaking very loudly about him preparing for something. I just can't figure it all out.
If they actually, we all heard the rumors that they sold that house there, and I can't remember the town. BB probably can remember the name of it, in Wisconsin. No. It was up off the lake somewhere.
It is in Appleton, but it is off that little Lake Butte or whatever.
Yeah, and that little creek or river.
Oh, was it Appleton? I thought they lived more toward the northeast corner up there.
No, they lived in Appleton. Supposed to live in Superior now, I guess.
That's where he lived before. What was?
Yeah, but
a defense lawyer, I think. That's where his office was in Superior.
Was it Superior?
Kelly, yeah. Well, so. That's where he lives now too.
His office was when he was working, when he had to stop being a DA or whatever. I think that's where he was working out of. He was living in a really shitty place out there. That's because he was being sued by that woman. So
Kelly says, I beg to differ. I think one case they will gamble with and call bluff. They will fight this to the end. They won't roll over that easy. Look at what they did to Brendan Dassey.
Well, somebody said earlier that they've had practice at this, and I was going to mention that there was actually another case in Manitowoc County, which was the Mary Glander case, and it was back in the 70s and 80s, and they convinced the sister, who was 13 at the time, to implicate her brothers. I don't remember their names. I think it was Roll or something, but they ended up having like a lot of appeals and stuff, and then 60 Minutes did an episode on this Mary Glander case, and Manitowoc didn't like how they appeared in that either.
I've never heard of that case.
She was like an older woman who got killed in her apartment.
Yeah, they are in no way new at this game. Make no mistake about it.
Well, I'd like to think that they'll just roll over. I do. They are good.
You're cutting out, Linda.
Cut out.
You're cutting out.
Or Linda.
We got to get her a hardwire ran to her modem.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody mail her one.
This list I've got up here is actually what Gunn had asked for, and you can see what they are: 5-gallon bucket containing debris pile contents, debris pile. It's got the geotag location, 5-gallon bucket containing debris. You know, all this stuff. It's just, I don't know. It's weird to me. He's asking for all this stuff. And I have to agree with Doc on this, that there's some concern here. And I find it really odd that there would be any concern if their case was that tight. They'd be like, so what?
Well, put it this way, right? The defense during Stephen Avery's trial, they never provided an alternative scenario of what happened to Teresa Horbach.
Right.
Whereas Kathleen Zellner did. Whether that scenario is actually true or not, it doesn't really matter. It is an alternative. This now has obviously worried the state. So what Gunn wants to do is to say, okay, can this reconstruction actually be potentially real? So in other words, if Bobby Dassey was, say, the murderer, I'm not saying he is, did he actually have enough time to carry out the murder, so to speak? So he wants to examine all the evidence, and notice what's important here. He's talking about the grave site at Cuss Road.
Yes.
Right? Whereas we already know the state said nothing happened at Cuss Road. So why is Norm Gunn all of a sudden interested in Kathleen Zellner's reconstruction, where all he had to say was, hey, nothing happened at Cuss Road. Let's don't waste our time here, guys.
Right.
Norm Gunn is actually now worried.
Well, he should be.
Here's
he should
one
be
of the,
even today.
Here's one of the tags. That's 8660. I mean, all these are, you know. Here's one of the debris piles. You know, it's just, I don't know. It to me it's comes across and has the feeling of they're not sure, they're not positive at all. They made up a story and sold it to the jury, but now they're looking and saying, "Wait, hold on, what the hell is going on here?" So, anyway, let's move on to one of the last ones here, and this one is, I think this is one I want.
Jax?
Yeah.
Yours, if I'm not cutting out, yours says that Gone is interested in the quarry GPS, not in Cuss Road.
Well, right. I mean, I know he does mention Cuss Road, but yeah, he does. He is really interested in the quarry area. Yeah, definitely. So, but now this one here. Let me see if this is the one I want.
But Jack, if I could just interject, but that's a direct contradiction of what Ken Kratz said in the trial. He said that the cremains at the Manitowoc County gravel pit are irrelevant and not relevant to this case. So what in the hell is Norm Gunn now saying, hey, let's have a look at these GPS locations, when Ken Kratz said in front of the jury and the judge that I'm not going to talk about those cremains that are irrelevant. And not only that, Eisenberg refused to classify them as human. So 2 points. Why is now Norm Gunn suddenly interested?
Very.
And 2, why did he give the cremains back to the Horbach family?
That's right. Well, you know what was Ken Kratz's famous words? I'm going to spend about 20 seconds on the quarry.
20 seconds. Correct. Correct.
We're not. Yeah.
Yeah, and yet now his fellow prosecuting attorney is going, oh yeah, we better have a second look. That's completely contradictory. You're now falling into Kathleen Zellner's hands. That's right. A dangerous approach. That's a very dangerous approach. Just an opinion.
No, I mean, I get it. I mean, You know,
Work with KZ.
even if he, you know, even in this email, he wasn't specifically talking about Cuss Road. I mean, to me, I included all. I maybe that's wrong of me to do, but I do because they wanted to really kind of throw all this stuff into under the rug and not really talk about it. And anything that was talked about wasn't relevant. Eisenberg refusing to identify the bones as human, you know, and just all this other stuff. The Corey is such an irrelevant thing. I'm only going to spend 20 seconds talking about it. Really? Yeah, there was so much found there. But this email here, moving on from the bones, is we're going to talk about this 8mm tape. And this is from Fallon. This is on in July of 2017 to Norman Wiegert. She's beginning to piss me off. I guess we need to get that 8mm tape to work. That's a big problem right there. Because as far as I know, this, whatever this is not recorded anywhere. Now, somebody can, out there that has more knowledge than me can correct me, but as far as I know, this 8mm tape is not listed anywhere as a tape that would not work. Anyway, I will be in Chilton during the day on Friday. So, Mark, can you and Amanda get that 8mm tape to play? We must be sure before we start litigating access post-conviction discovery. Thanks, Tom. Well, number one, why isn't it in the discovery from 2005, 2006 timeframe? Number two, what is it? That's the big question. Is it the actually unedited logger footage? I don't know. So he goes on there. This sounds like ships passing in the night. I've talked to the evidence custodian. What you have to do, what you have is, he's replying to Zellner. What you have is what I have. So basically, he's lied to her. Now, I don't know if y'all see that or not. He's telling her that what he's already sent her is what all they've got. But then this other tape makes an appearance, right? I was left with the impression from our phone call that you had an edited version. And that is a version without the portion involving the office scene. This is what I was talking about a few minutes ago. The corp counsel scene and the end scene. I will check again with them on Friday to ensure we both have the same information regards. So this is his reply. This bottom one was his saying to Zellner, what you've got's what I've got, blah, blah, blah. And then he's talking about this other one. See, that was at 11:56. This other one's at 12:37. So not even an hour later, he's emailing about this other 8mm tape that we don't know what is. So,
Jack, it's got to be the flyover.
Well,
because the flyover video has got that office scene at the beginning where that lady's sitting at her desk, just talking about some stuff, and somebody mentions about you have to do something to edit the video, and then right at the end, they're out, obviously at a gravel pit.
Yes.
Because remember that you're having these close-ups of whatever, small rocks, potentially bones. So I have an awful feeling they've got much more information about cremains or things that occurred at the Manitowoc County gravel pit and probably elsewhere. They've got that tape, and they want to make sure that they don't release that to Kathleen Zellner, because it probably gives a lot of information away that could be potentially exculpatory.
Well, I think it's really telling that we don't have any information at all about this tape. None.
No.
So,
but not only that, the video that you do see of the flyover, you can clearly see in it that it's been edited to hell, because 1 minute they're in a helicopter and then they're in one of the wee planes.
Correct. And then they're on the ground. They're on the ground.
But yeah, it's supposed to be the same flyover. That's happened on 2 different days, because one they're in a helicopter and the other they're in a completely different plane all the fucking other. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So there's definitely a tape out there. And as you say, he just shot himself in the foot. saying to Kathleen, you've got everything, and then an hour later, sending an email to them saying, oh, we better get that fucking tape looked at.
Correct. And so, you know, if we're thinking about nefarious terms here, it means that the state presented a scenario that may not be exactly what occurred. That's what they're worried about. But Kathleen Zellner's going to say, see, you guys actually lied. You actually lied, and you've got exculpatory material. That's explosive.
It's
they
huge.
Know that.
Absolutely,
the
they know it.
state know that. They're not silly. They know that. And now the worry is Ken Kratz, the loose cannon. Ken Kratz.
That's right. You know, and I feel certain they don't know. You know, probably I'm sure they don't know what all he, you know, has pilfered away and taken from the case, and you know, maybe even other cases that you know he's worked on over the years. So it'll be interesting to see where this will lead, because I mean, I don't know legally what she may do. You know, in the coming, you know, next month or whatever. I mean, hopefully we're going to get an answer from the COA anyway. That's going to be a positive, you know, for an evidentiary hearing. But we'll see. You know, I don't know what other emails may be released. That was pretty much it that's been posted on Reddit. So we'll see what maybe if something happens later today or tonight, if anything else is found and gets posted. I'm kind of keeping a sharp eye on it, because man, a lot of this stuff is you know, we've been able to see these one-sided conversations with Zellner that she's released, but this other side of the conversation, you know, we've not been able to see it, and it's really interesting. So anyway, if there's nothing more there, there was another.
I don't recall is asking, do you think Zellner has these emails? I am surprised the state released these.
Well, I think she has them now. I don't know that she had them before.
I think so too.
But I'm certain that they've been sent to her. So it'll be interesting to see how she reacts. You know, she may not do anything right now. You know, because of the pending COA decision. We'll see. I mean, I guess time will tell. But yeah. Anyway. If there's nothing more on that, we're approaching 2 hours. So I got a couple more things that I wasn't sure if we'd have time to get to. And I'll throw it out to everybody and they can discuss it and just give their opinion. We were talking the other day, earlier in the week, and Becca was in channel on the call, and we were talking about subjects for the open mic. And she threw out a question, and we've talked about this before. But her question was, if I remember it correctly, Becca, forgive me if I screw this up, but I think basically her question was, how would the case have progressed without Brendan's coerced confession? Doc, you want to take a hold of that one for a minute? Any comments?
Well, two things. Let's assume that Brendan Dassey was right out of the equation, right? As in, there was no coerced confessions, etc., etc. And point number 2 is that Ken Kratz never did the press conference where, you know, he spilled out all the details. Then the case against Stephen Avery would have been purely speculative, right? In terms of, like, no one would have seen what Stephen allegedly did to Teresa Hallbach. So everything was circumstantial. Even when you take everything into consideration, 7 jurors said not guilty. And I think 3 said guilty and 2 were unsure. I reckon that Stephen would have walked. I reckon he would have been released. He would have been found not guilty because there was a lot of reasonable doubt. So even though Ken Kratz says, oh, yeah, but we didn't actually use Brendan Dassey in Stephen Avery's trial, that's true, but the damage was done. So as Strang said, you can't unring that bell. So people have got in their minds the press conference, what Brendan confessed to. So you couldn't separate the two. So I believe that had Brendan been completely out of the picture, I reckon Stephen Avery, considering what happened to Stephen prior in 1985, Stephen would have been released. He wouldn't have gone to prison.
I have to agree.
That's my opinion.
I
That's
disagree
my opinion.
about the
You
jury.
disagree? About the jury? Okay.
Because I think the jury was also planted in a sense because that was their end game. That's who was going to say yes or no. And when you
That's
look at all the
correct.
family of the jury families and stuff, they're all cop families, county families, stuff like that. So I think that's why they were very easily persuaded to change their thing from 7 to all guilty.
Jinx, do you think?
The one juror, know that Brendan's case was on her mind because after she convicted Avery, she went to the Dassey trial to get answers, even though she had already convicted Avery. So,
Jinx, do you think that the foreman, or maybe even the foreman and some others, pressured, whatever you want to call the word, some of these jurors to change their vote?
well, I do think that. I think that is a possibility, or they just were like, we're all cop families, Would our officers do that in our families? No. So we're not going to go with this, I mean, I think that
I believe there was a lot of pressure. I do.
People, like that was something that's been out. Then there was the anonymous juror who came out and said that they were trading votes if they traded votes because they didn't want to agree. So I think there were some juror members that were going to get a conviction no matter what. They were going to push for it.
It's true. I agree. I do agree. Stephen was always going to be up against it. But Juris made a very important comment, and that is, if Brendan Dassey, imagine if he kept his mouth shut right from the beginning, there would be no hood latch DNA. There would be no item FL.
Or bullet.
Or bullet, correct.
That was the warrant. They got that warrant with his
correct. And
or press conference.
Correct. Or press conference. So if
there may not have been a jury at all. They might not have been able to get a case to convict him if Brendan.
That's correct. It would if they did the pre-trial, it would have been, hey, look, considering what you guys did to him in 1985, I'm mighty suspicious here that you're trying to have another go at him, right?
Oh, I agree.
That's if the judge was completely impartial, right? Well, I can see the motive here, guys. Go away and get me some real hardcore physical evidence. How do you know that? And mind you, a planting scenario, the judge would have accepted that because the judge would have thought, well, if I'm trying to frame him and prevent him from carrying out his civil suit, that's precisely what I would expect. Correct?
Yeah.
Now,
that's right.
If you enter in Brendan Dassey. Brendan Dassey gave a running narrative of what his uncle did and what he did, right? So,
wait a minute. He did not give that. They fed it to him.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I agree. If Brendan Dassey was called up to the stand, he would have been ripped to shreds.
He was their canvas.
And that's why Ken Kratz could not call up Brendan in Stephen's trial, because the defense would have ripped him a new one, and Brendan would have said, yes, you're correct, I made it all up. I saw it in a film, right?
Yeah.
But the damage was done. The grenade was thrown in the room, right? The damage was done. So if Brendan had kept his mouth shut and there was none of that, as jury said, there would have been no hood latch swab. So Ken Kratz couldn't say, oh, well, Stephen got under the hood. That's one. And two, no item fell. So they had no bullet to link Teresa Hallbach being in the garage. So therefore, everything would have been circumstantial. Stephen Avery walks.
It would have fell apart.
Yeah.
The whole story, the whole narrative, the judge would have said, well, how do you know this wasn't a plant job? That's it.
That's right.
Done. That's
Okay.
it, done.
Before I give my opinion, is there anyone else?
They were also
I
talking
disagree
about
100%.
before Avery, before Dassey's confession. All these people, the local people, were saying they thought the cops had something to do with the framing, and then that press conference really changed everybody's views. So
It did.
yeah.
Well, go ahead.
I was going to say the press conference was strategic. It was done on purpose and without fact checking.
Yep.
So
That's right.
what does Ken Kratz do in his book? Oops, I made a mistake. Well, thank you very
Bull
much.
crap. It squashed any chance that Stephen had of people thinking
Correct.
he was being framed.
Correct.
Now, if he would also say that about the whole case.
Yeah, correct. And that's what Strange said. How are you going to unring this bell? You can't.
Can't do it. Well, for me, I'll look back at, I'll get to this in a minute, but we look back to the January, February timeframe, and Candy Avery had contacted Fassbender and given him these alleged messages between Brendan and Kayla or Marie. That moves forward in time, and they kind of had that in their hip pocket. And then after the civil suit was settled, middle of February, everybody can look at it and see they really turned the heat up on Brendan. They cranked it because that's when everything really began to progress. I'm sure that Kratz knew he had to somehow tie. He had nothing to tie Teresa inside that house or garage. So anyway, moving forward with that, we get into getting him at school, Brendan at school, and then after school, and then Fox Hills happens, and then 3 days later he's arrested. He gives us horrific detail, and he's ready to go back to class. He has clearly no idea what he's just done, but they got him to do it anyway. March 2nd, as you guys have detailed perfectly, what Ken Kratz did, and to add a little bit of what you said, Doc, not only was it strategic, Tom Fallon, the real power behind the prosecution team, he knew all about it, and he let it go. So no item FL, no hood latch swab, and all this other things that it led into to solidify for Kratz to solidify that, oh, well, she was in the garage. Look here. Look what we've got. We got item FL. So I just think that the case would have, I don't know about the jury. I can't say, I guess I can see it either way. They were really after him, but I think for the state, it would have been a much more difficult job to have got their conviction. There's just no way it could have went the way it did. No way without Brendan. No way.
I agree. And I'll just make a quick comment, Jack 61. Yeah. The defense made a lot of mistakes, right? Yes. And now we can look back and we can say, okay, the biggest mistake they made was by naming specific police officers in planting.
Yes.
This now gave all the power to the state. And what did Ken Kratz do in his closing statement? He said that if you believe that your cops planted this evidence, you have to believe they murdered Teresa Hallbach. Oh my God!
Yep.
So could you imagine the jury? Yeah. Could you imagine the jury letting Stephen Avery off? Oh my God! Every juror will be under so much pressure. You couldn't live in the state anymore. You'll be hounded.
That's right.
You'll be hounded.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but Pago being at the pizza place doesn't say too much about, not tampering with the gang jury or putting fear into them either.
Well, he showed up at the restaurant, had drinks with the jury, that.
Yeah.
That's
just not even saying anything.
Well, I mean,
threat.
Well, him being there, he didn't have to, that was that question the jury sent back to the judge, can they have alcoholic beverages after dinner, and he had to hand deliver that message. I think not. I think you pick up the phone and you call the jury bailiffs, which were assigned to the to guard them, and you say, "Hey, yeah, tell them it's okay." You don't hand deliver down and have knock back a few whiskey sours with them. Come on.
Oh, wait a minute, Jax. That's
In
Manitowoc.
uniform with your gun on your side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Manitowoc. They do things different there.
In your cop car. It has a really bad feel to me. I mean, as far as how I view the criminal justice system.
Jack.
Yep.
If I could just make a final comment, because unfortunately I've got to go. The state found the weakest link.
They did.
Yes.
And that weakest link was Brendan Dassey. They tried it on Jody. Remember, they tried to flip Jody.
That's right.
When Wiegert and I think it was Hawkins. No, what was the
Baldwin,
lady's name?
it?
Baldwin
Yep.
tried to flip Jody, and that didn't work. They found the weakest link, and it was Brendan.
That's right.
So Brendan was the glue that held the story or the narrative together. However, on closer inspection, the entire narrative was garbage.
Mm-hmm.
It all fell to pieces because nothing Brendan said made any sense, and everything he said, he either guessed or he got it from the news media, right? So for the state, they don't care. They got their conviction. The civil suit fell apart. Everyone went home happy. But now you can see the pressure and the tension that's occurring in the state because Kathleen Zellner is stoking the fire, so to speak, and the silence is actually hurting the state. It's not hurting Kathleen Zellner. She's waiting in the wings. She's just waiting. And I reckon it's going to be a trial for situation. I really do.
Yep. Just remember,
both going to get released.
We just remember that last brief that the state submitted from Josh Call and Lisa Comfort. It was awful. It was absolutely terrible. Now they're calling for procedural problems. Don't worry about the evidence. Don't worry about we've got all these lies and all this other stuff. She procedurally can't go forward with the case. Are you kidding me? What was it called? Procedurally, there was another word that we played with.
Barred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she used estoppel.
Estoppel. Yep.
Estoppel. Basically saying, I'm going to bullshit the bullshitters.
Yep.
That's
what
right.
She did in one word. In just
she
one
estoppeled
word.
them, all right. She estoppeled them right away.
Doc, you brought up another point that made me think about when we were going through the pretrial, and Buting and Strang were so on when this coerced confession came out. Buting and Strang rode that horse actually for months until they finally couldn't ride it any further, because these statements were taken from Brendan as truth, and they had no way to cross-examine and probe that truth. And the judge basically, he kind of listened, him haul around, but ultimately nothing. He just let it go. So
what the judge did is just simply unforgivable.
It is
completely unforgivable.
It is. So, well, I thought it was an interesting question that Becca asked, because I've thought about it before, that Brendan, with no Brendan, there's really, to me, there's really not much of a case. It is circumstantial. They had some circumstantial stuff, but, Fassbender leaving the note for Culhane, which is my God, how can a cop, any cop, I don't care if he's state or a local, how is that allowed for a cop to really give directions to the lab tech? You turn the evidence in and they find what they find. So
Correct. And you see that's what made finding the key and item FL look like two huge red flags.
Huge
red flags.
Yep. So, well, it's an interesting question. I think that, everybody, in questioning these other aspects of the case, the what ifs, and I know it's speculatory and it can lead you to all kinds of directions, but some key things, if you question, how the police and the prosecution approached it and certain decisions that were made. This goes right back to one of the emails that we just read that Gon wrote, and he's worried about all these locations, this evidence. Why? Why are you worried about it, dude? Your case is solid. Come on. So anyway, I appreciate everybody's reply. Before I move forward with our last thing, and then we're going to wrap up, I want to thank the Rookie, Yoras, Seeking Truth, so many others. If I didn't name you, please forgive me. So many others that have FOIA'd this information and provided it free of charge to the public for us to, get out, disseminate, talk about. Everybody has that privilege. Thanks to them, they're using, in many cases, their own money beyond anything that we crowdsourced back in 2016. I can't thank you enough, because without that, we probably wouldn't be having the conversations that we're having now.
That's right.
It's made a lot of it possible. So we can't forget that. I also want to mention that the hard work that Zoe and Spooky do, that really kind of behind the scenes, it's a thankless job, but they're glad to do it. The Foul Play Library is got more information in it than any library that I know of about making a murderer, the Avery Dassey cases. It's got so much stuff.
It is jam-packed.
Yeah,
loaded.
I know Kat puts our super mod Kat puts the link to the Foul Play website in there. It's got all kinds of stuff, and where things are getting added all the time. And I'm sure that at some point, we can get possibly some of these emails can be added for everybody to read through. I think they're really important. I think this is some of these are, some of them are, you can't really make too much about, but some of these other ones, man, they really, this 8mm tape, what the fuck? Pardon my language, but what is it? I think it's the flower video, but we'll see. Anyway, the last thing, as I was going through the past week and thinking about things to talk about, as I have this habit of doing sometimes, I look through the information that KZ has provided in her briefs and various things. And I can tell you, for anyone that's new out there, it's a fountain of evidence, a fountain of information. Yeah, of course, you get into the Denny stuff. She's speculating. She doesn't know for sure, but she didn't have to in that aspect. But other things are true and they're real. And I'd asked a question, and everybody seems to think that it hasn't been done. At some point on the open mic, I would like to for us to take a look at the original PCR, the post-conviction relief that Zellner filed. It is full of all kinds of really good information. And looking at it now, it was filed, 4 years ago. I think that looking at it now, we would see it in a different way. I know that some of the information that we have now or we had then, that looking at it now, and I'm like, well, it didn't really make a lot of sense, as much sense then as it does now. So anyway, that's a thought of what potentially could be coming. If there's enough interest, I'd like to take a stab at, just going through. I'm not talking about reading line per line. I'm just talking about picking out certain sections and talking about it. So, and any other subjects, hey, I'm open for anyone that wants to come in and pick up the mic. Hey, all you got to do is say the word, and the mic is yours.
Can I just do a little small plug?
Absolutely.
I think at some stage we should cover what Alice discussed, murder in a small town. The reason why is because there are many similar parallels to the Brendan Dassey, Stephen Avery case in the way the case was approached and the devastating effect that the media had in prejudgment.
Now this was this was in England, right?
Yeah, Scotland, I think.
Scotland.
It was. Alice knows more about it. I've only done a little bit of reading and research. I'm already horrified.
Oh my! I haven't had a chance to watch the documentary you posted.
14-year-old boy.
Oh my God!
Yeah, Luke Mitchell, and Jodie Jones case, and it happened in a small town, Dalkeith, which is only about 30 minutes away from where I actually live. And because he was goth looking, he was a bit an outcast in a sense in the community. That's how they looked at him. They had, in my opinion anyway, they had tunnel vision, and he was constantly, and I mean constantly, in the media. He was in every single paper. He was on every single channel all across Scotland.
Was this like Alice, was this like a day in and day out kind of thing?
Yes. He was arrested 11 months after Jodie was killed, and he was in the paper every single day.
Oh my God.
No matter what, it could have just been him walking down the street, coming through the shops. Oh, there's the murderer. He's the one. And some of this was coming out before he was even charged with anything. I know that I don't recall putting links for it on YouTube, Jax.
Yeah, so I saw that.
The only advice I could give you is go and watch it now or whenever you can before it gets taken down, because I think it might get taken down shortly.
It will get taken down. It will get taken down.
Okay.
But there's also 3, I think it's John English. He did 3 interviews with the lawyer,
James
the
English.
mother, and English, yeah.
James English, yeah. Anything goes with James English.
Yes. Brilliant.
Terry Mullins interview.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
3 interviews, and also with the guy that did the lie detection on
Terry
the
Mullins.
mother, yeah, and also on Luke. Oh my God, definitely worth checking out. The reason why is there are a lot of very similar elements, and this crime took place it took place in 2003. He got convicted, I think, in 2005. All the same time that the Avery, Brendan Dassey cases were going down. Very interesting.
Yeah, it actually disgusted me to know that this has happened here. I mean, you know yourselves, I've always been on any live I've been on and saying that would not happen here. But I'm big enough to admit when I'm wrong. And I've also said that we're not saints, you know what I mean? We definitely aren't, and we do get things wrong. But by God, this is a big fuck up miscarriage of justice.
I've been saying for a long time that could never happen in the UK, and I am absolutely astonished to learn that actually that's exactly what has happened in the UK.
Yeah.
And it's just blown me right out of the water. I could, I remember it vaguely when it happened, but looking at what's happened and what's come out since the trial and that, I'm astonished.
Well, why don't we?
Can't believe it.
Why don't we do this then, Doc and everyone? Why don't we get some information together and whatever we can gather, and for next week's open mic, we talk about it. I'm okay with that.
Well, I reckon, yeah. So I see what I could get together, just sort of like discussion points. But I like to draw the similarity to both Brendan and Stephen,
okay,
because there are very, very common elements that occurred in the Murder in the Small Town documentary to what occurred to Brendan and Stephen, and it's very frightening, very frightening.
Yeah, it definitely is. And with somebody who comes to here, that could have been my lad, It could have easily have been my lad. My lad was a goth. He was into Marilyn Manson, things like that, So it could have just as easily, have happened to my boy. And I'm so glad it didn't. But I'm mortified and ashamed right now that this has happened in my country.
Well, let's get it out there and talk about it. I mean, I hadn't heard of the case until you brought it up the other day. It sounds interesting. I just didn't have time. I haven't had time to watch the documentary, but I'm going to try to do that this afternoon.
Thank God we're not. Thank God we're not addicted.
No,
right?
that's right. That's exactly right.
Switch off any time. I could just put it down, no bother.
Hey, Jack.
Yep.
Streaming time.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. We'll see what we can do. That's not a bad idea. I don't know. Well, we'll see.
I did YouTube.
Yep.
That would
Not
be
for
cool.
long, it's not.
That would be a really good idea.
They're looking to take that down.
I'd like to see.
Sooner the better.
Yeah, I heard that.
They pulled the publication of part 2, probably because of the reasons that the fella who was supposed to remain unnamed, his name's been leaked. So it's.
Was this another suspect? Was this another suspect?
I think it's one of the there's possibly one of the potentials. Jack, one of the potential kind of suspects. So for legal reasons over here, don't be surprised if it disappears from YouTube.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So if you're going to do it, you're going to have to do it quick.
Yeah, definitely. You're going to have to do it quick. And I know the links, if you scroll up in the office, I know the links are there and they were working earlier on. So if you want to try and watch it. But I've also heard, Wizard, that it's been back, the second one's been put back up. But
it was there today, yeah. I was told it had gone. I saw part 1 and then I went looking for part 2, couldn't find it. Was told that it had been taken down, and then I found it sometime after that this afternoon, and I watched it whilst I had the chance because I didn't want to miss it in case it was taken down again. So,
Aye. Because I mean, they do say that there's somebody that's at the high on their suspect list, but they can't be named.
Yep, he's been named. His name has been leaked.
But there was a few of them, remember? So
yeah, there was 4.
Don't
There's
know
4
if
at the moment.
Aye, I know one.
Uninvestigated potential suspects.
Yeah, I know one of them was fear of retaliation.
A couple of them are right up there.
So I would try and watch it as soon as you can, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
okay.
Worth it.
Well, this
Good
case
watch.
is
Very
really
good watch.
old to have potential suspects that haven't been interviewed.
Well, it's.
There was a condom found, BB. There was a condom found with fresh semen in it beside their body, and they didn't find out who the person was belonging to that until 3 years after she'd been murdered.
That's correct. That's right. Yeah.
But it wasn't the kid that got arrested.
No.
None of his DNA was found.
Nothing of his on her. There's nothing of her on his or in his home. There is absolutely nothing. Nothing. And they'd been seeing each other for 5 months. There wasn't a single trace of her anywhere on him.
So a Brendan case, there was nothing of Brendan found on the Avery Sour.
There's nothing, Jake, absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
There is DNA. There are DNA profiles of other males.
Right.
Including her sister's boyfriend.
Oh.
So there's a lot. We're giving too much away by talking about it, Alice. I suggest you watch it. It is astonishing, the parallels between Luke and Brendan.
Let's plan for that for next week.
I've said it a dozen times. I would never have believed that it would be possible that something like this could have happened in the UK.
But
because our system was built to kind of, eliminate the opportunity of that. But you know what, Jack? It fucking happened, mate.
Wow.
And he got shafted big time, that boy.
Okay. Well, let's plan for that for next week. Before I move on, there was one more person I meant to mention in thanking, and that's Henberry. He did get us thousands of pictures to look at, so hats off to him as well, and many others. I'd also like to thank everyone for some really good discussion today, everybody here and everybody out there on YouTube. If there's anything else that anybody has got any other comments, let's get them out there. We all good? Alrighty. I do appreciate everyone again, and we'll see you next time. This has been a Foul Play production. And we're out.